Hi everyone, welcome back to our Italian Dreams. This is where you can follow our dream of buying a new house, getting a new life, relocating to Italy. For me, the dream also consists of retirement, living the slower life, enjoying every day. For Fredrik, it's all about, well, not all about, but it's also about finding a new job and building a new career in a foreign country. But our dream is also exploring new places with our camper van, and that's a dream that we actually are living right here, right now. And speaking of which, in this episode you will be following us on the journey we took, or the trip we took, 2025 this summer. But before that, Fredrik will tell you about something that's called Codice Fiscale, which is one of the things you must start with if you are planning to buy a house in Italy.
When you move to Italy, buying a house, open a bank account, or just a simple thing as creating a phone subscription, there is one thing that you must have, and that is the Codice Fiscale. The Codice Fiscale is Italy's version of a tax identification number. Think it like a mix of a tax ID and a social security number. Without it, you can't really move forward. No bank account, no contract, no access to a lot of services. So this Codice Fiscale is really a key to live and to do business in Italy. But the good news is that it's free and it's pretty easy to get. So you can apply if you are in Italy through the office of Agenzia delle Entrate. They have offices around in Italy, in many places, or if you are abroad, you can apply through the consulate, the Italian consulate in your country, or as we are here in Sweden, the consulate of Italy here in Sweden. So we searched through the web well before our trip this year, because we wanted to have this Codice Fiscale with us when we headed on this trip. So what we found was that there was a form that you need to fill in, and also they need to have a copy of your passport, and also from a copy of the population register in Sweden. So we applied for it at Skatteverket here in Sweden, and they sent us a signed and stamped copy of the population register. We put everything in the envelope and sent it to the consulate here in Sweden. So follow me now to the post box, and we will come back a little bit later, not in this episode, but in the next episode, and show you what happened next with our Codice Fiscale application. But now, follow me to the post box, and after that, we want to take you on our 2025 tour to Italy with our new motorhome.
Now the application is on its way to the Italian embassy, and we will get back to that one later. But now it's finally time to bring you along this year's trip to Italy. As you might remember from one of the earlier episodes when Fredrik told you about the Italian roads, you know that they are quite narrow, and our old motorhome was a bit too big for those narrow roads. When we got home from the trip last year, we visited a motorhome fair maybe a couple of weeks after we got home, and suddenly there it was, a new camper van. We gave it quite a long thought and decided let's go for it. So we ordered the new van. It's finally time to bring you along on this year's adventure to Italy. Our journey began with a ferry from Malmö to Travemünde in northern Germany. a 10-hour crossing, and that ferry gave us time to switch gears from the everyday routine into travel mode. Watching Sweden's coastline disappear, grabbing a coffee on deck and knowing that within a couple of hours we'll be in the heart of Europe, that was perfect start for our journey. We arrived in Travemünde around 11 p.m. Tired after hours on the ferry, but we decided to push on. We drove through the night, through an empty autobahn, before finally pulling into Lehrte around 3:30 in the morning. Lehrte is a familiar stop for us, one of those places that's not glamorous but reliable. And we've stayed there several times before, and it always feels like a small checkpoint on the way south or north, heading home. After an hour or two, well, a few hours anyway, of much needed sleep, we were ready to continue. Our goal was Neuschwanstein Castle. It's a fairy tale castle from the 1870s in the Bavarian Alps, but nature had other plans for us. Quite soon, we were driving through a full-on storm. The wind howled and trees snapped like matchsticks. Hailstones hammered down the brand new van. Filming? Well, not a chance. Our only thought was safety, to get out of the village, away from the falling trees and flooding streets. It was sort of one of those moments where travel suddenly feels less like an adventure and more like survival. But eventually the storm eased, and from a safe distance we could get a glimpse of Neuschwanstein. But this time we had to skip the visit. You know, safety first. Instead we set course for Innsbruck. The Austrian city is usually a beautiful sight surrounded by the majestic Alps. But when we arrived that night, every single motorhome spot was full. But instead of giving up, we carried on a little further into the valley, and eventually we found a quiet spot near the Europabrücke bridge, one of Europe's tallest bridge, spanning almost 200 meters above the valley floor. By morning, when we woke up, the sky had cleared. We crossed the Brenner Pass into Italy, and by lunchtime we rolled into Camping Montigl, just outside Bolzano. This is one of our favorite stops to reload after days on the roads. After days of driving in a dramatic storm, we can actually relax. And we spent the afternoon by the pool, stretched out in the sun. Later, we shared a glass of local wine, and in the evening we treated ourselves with a dinner at the campsite restaurant.